What's going on, PE 551? This is Zachary Perez, and this is my video response for the Common Core and Physical Education video response this week. So, the first question asks, explain which of the Common Core resources you found on the Spark website to be valuable and why. Um, I thought a lot of aspects on the Spark website were pretty valuable in terms of finding ways for students to implement practices of, writing, math, and reading on top of, all the motor skills and lessons that they already learn from aspects of physical education. In terms of writing, I thought the health and fitness journals were something that could really benefit students in terms of writing. Um, I also thought, setting goals was something that is not only good for writing, but critical thinking and in terms of bettering yourself, something that, I think a lot of teachers can implement in their practices for their students. And creating new games was another one that I thought was not only fun, but, kind of help students critical think as well and work on those aspects of writing moving forward in a PE setting. In terms of math, I thought the idea of, conducting graphs was really good to show how, students are performing and kind of just, take away aspects of math, in terms of that. Um, and just implementing, drills that kind of are good for counting. That was another one that I thought was really good just because not only are you implementing aspects of math and all that, but it's also good for, communication. Um, when you're counting or you're shooting or you're doing whatever you're doing, it's good to communicate and get everybody on the same page to know where, everything's at. So that was another, aspect from that website that I found pretty valuable. In terms of the eSchool website, I didn't really find it as valuable just because, on that one, it seemed like Common Core was just basically based around, math, language arts, and the sciences, not as much around PE. I kind of learned a lot about Common Core, during my undergrad for history, just because, history classes teach us a lot about writing and all that. But in terms of, finding out new information, I thought the Spark website was extremely valuable in terms of what I want to do when I, hopefully someday conduct my own class. So the second question is, how do you adapt your coaching or lesson plans to incorporate all components of the four C's? In terms of coaching, I don't think I would change much. In terms of collaboration, we stress communicating on the court, being a good communicator to, the coaches and to the professors, and ultimately, develop the skills to be a good communicator, in the real world. So that's something that we try to um, implement in our players. So um, that component of the four C's, I think, we kind of emphasize. In terms of community, we always talk about buying in as a coach or as a coaching staff to our players, buying into a common goal, buying into the idea that there's, 15 other people that are part of a family. And I think that sense of community kind of, helps players understand that aspect of the four C's. In terms of creativity, there's definitely some practices where, we kind of let players conduct the practice. So they gotta think outside the box and come up with drills that they think would be, beneficial to get them better. And in terms of that, I think that's good just because it works aspects of collaboration. It can't always come from aspects of the coaching staff. It's got to come from the players at some point. And in terms of critical thinking, there's so much that goes on during a basketball game. We can only supply the tools and the resources for the players. It ultimately comes down to them and how they react during the game. So every play is a um, critical thinking aspect in terms of basketball. Um, One thing that I would like to address or adapt in my coaching is I think the health and fitness journals and setting goals. I think we kind of we kind of stress it, but I don't think we stress it enough. And I think that's something that I want to implement moving forward as a coach, and something that I'm definitely going to look to implement as a physical educator when I get my own class someday. All right, thank you guys for watching. Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. Thanks.